dear Dr. Jiang-Zhe-Hu, the directors of the China Cultural Centers, the President and representative of Thai Jiang-Zhe-Hu Commercial Association, Associate Professor Liu Chai, Dean of the Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to be here as a speaker to talking about some things. So good morning and Chào Xuân Hao. Anyway, my background is medical doctors, but actually my personal background, I'm the third generation of Chinese Thai. My father's surname is Wu, and my Chinese name is Wu Junsen. Wu Junsen. I still can write my name in Chinese alphabet. And my mother's also the surname as Jiang. And in Teochew we pronounce Tia. And the surname of Jiang is very famous in the Kung Fu movie as Jiang San Feng. Jiang San Feng. And I followed this movie several times because they have revised versions many times in the TV movie. And I study Chinese language during my primary school, but actually I have no any time for practicing. Anyway, the duration of study in a small period of childhood is still in my brain. If I try to reconsider and I have to learn reconsider about Chinese language again. I can overcome everything in the past because of the during my grandparents still alive. Every time that I speak Thai, my grandmothers will bring the fan handle to knock my head. You always speak Thai. You always speak Thai. But actually, most of my family will speak in Teochew. Teochew, like Chufan. Chufan we pronounce Jia Peng. And Jia Muay Jia Chui. Chư Sui. So some of Chinese language still remain in my brain. So I think that I will recall my memory about the Chinese language in this year. I think because we are going to make a lot of collaboration with Chinese university. And at this moment, last 2 months, we visit Beijing and we make collaboration and MOU with the topmost of the Chinese university, such as the Tsinghua University, Peking University, and Fudan University, and Shanghai Jiaotong. So this is top 5 of the Chinese university, and that we will work close together in several things, especially in medicine, in science, technology, and engineering. Social science also very active in make friends with the Chinese university, especially for Chinese centers in our university. And we are thinking about the Confucius College in the future. So this is my introductions about my background and also my position. Anyway, I have been invited to speak about the philosophy at the course of the exchange student at Mahidol University, and the director asked me to provide this message again to other Chinese people living in Thailand, so that you will understand more about the philosophy of from China that apply to Thai society. My personal experience always understand about my grandparents talking about the way to live as a Chinese culture, so that I'm really understanding. And also I'm living in Thailand since my I'm born here in Thailand, so I understand how to apply in my life so that we'll just share the experience. I would say that in the former times, before Christ, there are several things happens and always have the war between the countries and nearby territory. They have also war between neighboring to overcome and also to gain more lands and more assets, more properties. So this is the problem of the previous period of time, that there are always the war between nearby countries. So people began to think about the best way to restore and how to live in that with harmony with the nearby countries, neighboring countries. This is the suffering of the way to live in the former times. So the message that I would like to mention about the way of people learning. This is the pyramid of learning process. We understand the data and relations to gather and make it as information. And after that, we analyze and we gather as a knowledge. And at the top of the pyramid, it is the wisdom. So many of the philosophers in the past, they always gather all information until they have the wisdom to tell the people. This is very important. And also, this is the logo of Mahidol University. We, as a university, we want to be wisdom of the land, of country. So not only the knowledge, gathered from information, we would like to have our students, our staff, to have wisdom. And learning process to understand. There are several things that they achieve the information by auditory, by visual, by tactile. And nowadays we have ICT to enhance all of the input to learn. And you would understand that people will live and change their behavior because of the knowledge and also the experience. And most of the time we have different things, different thoughts, and argue between each other. Arguing is intellectual, to share experience, to share the knowledge. But conflict, after that, is behavior. So arguing is normal, but how to have argument and bring it as a knowledge and also wisdom without any conflict is very important. It's very important. And because of the people always have the needs, always have the needs, and this is a Maslow hierarchy of needs. Start from the fundamental. We need to have any essential part like meal, like water, like sleep, and this is a fundamental for physiologic need. And after that, we want to be in the safe place. And upwards, we need people to respect and have love from other people and esteem. And at the topmost is self-actualizations. And this is mostly objective and personalized. But in the top of the pyramid, it is mostly as a subjective and social, more socialized. Like someone want to be president after they have everything. Like in US, they have money, they have a lot of assets. They want to be a big name. They want to lead the country, big countries. So this is why someone want to go up to be some kind of the leader of the countries. But most of the people are in this three levels: physiologic need and safety, and also belonging to the society and be respected by people nearby. So this is a fundamental and more objective in the lower level. and more subjective in upper level. So they need to be accepted, they need to be very reputation, not money. They need respect, need authorities. And this is the way that the people fight together in between the level, between among multi-layer of people. Sorry for some Thai alphabet, but anyway, human being, inner, this is inner as a characters, norm and mindset. It is the lie in intrinsic of the body. The way they think, the intrinsic character is from family, from religions, from experience, from knowledge. But this is outer or personality. It is explicit. It has been regulated by social, religion, country, discipline, and regulations. So this is a character of the people and also personality, composed of two elements. One is personality, another one is characters. And this is inner, this is explicit. Each person has his or her own type based on past experience and knowledge. So knowledge from their family, knowledge from the religion, knowledge from philosophy that they have been taught by the parents will come into this of inner element. Talking about the Chinese philosophy, we can categorize into three main philosophers. The first one, which is more popular, is Confucius. The second one is Taoism, which is older, was older. And this one, which is not a popular one, legalism, this one. Why did this philosophy develop? Because at that time, they have wars quite often. War and social change will disrupt everyday life. So they are suffering from the war between neighboring countries. Government lack control, and this philosophy helped guide people and the government to a better life. So people want to have a better life. And this is the problem that the philosopher tried to create some philosophies. And talking about the three modes of philosophies, Confucius mostly have a principle of social order and harmony between people to people. Respect for parents and elderly, they have ranking system. And education is very important. They're thinking about the baby have no any negative mindset, but the environment create some input into the baby that education can resolve such kind of negative mindset. So I think Confucius is very important concerning about education. They encourage education. While Taoism, they respect the nature. Everything happen in the world will resolve by itself, make it naturally. Everything has some harmonization between each other, although it is very different. Black and white, not antagonist, but it's harmonized as complementary. If you have black, white will be very good for some. If you have cold, hot is some kind of complementary to feel cold is cold, hot is hot, and they both are very essential. So this is very important that Taoism is more natural based in living. And education is not Taoism policy. They're thinking about education will distort the way of living away from the natural pathway. And also politics will create mismatch between how to live and how to be in natural process. So Taoism is different to that. And Taoism is document about education will create mismatch between nature and also any unified system. So Taoism is not promote the education. So Taoism mostly they advise the people to seek for living in the nature without any uniformity or regulations. Make the natural resolve by its way, like water, like something that in nature they resolve the problem by itself. For legalism is different to that of the Confucius. They're thinking about every people have some negative mindset and have a selfish mind. So they have to regulate everything in control to make it uniform. So this is a very strange idea that I think most of the country don't like this, and very different. And I think Thailand, most of the time, I think Confucius played major roles in daily living in our Thai Chinese cultures. And Taoism is some people still have this concept. And I think Taoism is perhaps expand to Taiwan and also in Japan and some in Korea. Talking about Taoism, which is older, founded by Lao Zi, which is I think he was born earlier than Buddha and older than Kongju. And the textbook that have been written by some of the successor or by himself, so-called is Tao Zhi Jiang. They had 81 chapter. I searched from YouTube and I listened to the concept of 81 chapter already last week. And most of the time, there's some chapter have content repeated with another one. But the concept is they advise and they recommend Taoism recommend about to live with the nature. Everything they encourage living with the nature. Let nature resolve by itself. And this is the major teaching. Live in harmony with nature. Be like water. Water go with the flow, but it's unstoppable. Flexible, but have its aim and intention to go in the direction that the water will finish by the destination that it's going to be. And because of the water, it's very flexible. No any hard material can beat the water. Water can still remain. So they advocate the people to live like water. No one can beat you. You can flexible to receive any condition as water. And implication for government is the government make everything unnatural. They have regulation, very rigid. Everything have to follow this regulation, which is opposite to the natures. Try to change too much and usually make things worse. This is the concept of Taoism. And this is why Lao Zi moved from the cities to the forest and stay peacefully without any communication to others. And also because of Lao Zi has a negative for education. So Lao Zi have a very few successors follow him, different to that of Confucius. And belief of Taoism is education and politics are not necessary for harmony, natural flow of event. Natural flow of event would solve problems. To escape the social, politics, and cultural trap of life one must escape by rejecting formal knowledge and learning. This is opposite to Confucius. Rely on the sense and instinct, discovering the nature and universe, and ignore politics and social law. This is why Lao Zi moved opposed to be advisor in the cities or to the governments, and also know any education that they try to have a successor like Confucius or Kongzhi. And negative and positive principles are universal. Every time you have something, you have another opposite matter. And this is not, and this is, one cannot exist without the others. Each is incorporated into the others, not opposite, but complement. This is Taoism. This is a symbolic of Taoism. Complete each other as a two sides of the coin. They are different, but they are not antagonists, not opposite, but complementary. You have something, another one will happen. This is very similar to Buddhism. And another philosophy as legalism, this is very strange. The people are naturally selfish and corrupt. This is a concept which is different to that of Confucius. And they have to regulate because of intellectualism and literary art has been discouraged. And law is supreme authority and replaces morality. War is the means of strengthening of the ruler power. So this concept is very strange. And I think that this one is not popular. So it has been written in the textbook and also mentioned. But anyway, it's not popular in most of the countries. Taoism is freedom of individual, rest governed by and to avoid uniformities. For Confucius, moral order in society. Legalism, rule by hatch, laws, orders. And this is Confucius, which is Thai people mostly, and also the Chinese Thai. We understand about it, and living like using Confucius concept. I think Kongzhi is the time of Confucius is very similar to that of Buddhism, very same period with Buddhism because of 551 before Christ is very similar to Buddhist. And Confucius is a Chinese teacher and philosopher, and he mentioned about the philosopher is a person who offers theory or idea on big questions and develop theory of how to establish stability in China. This is very important. And he believed that the people are naturally good, different to that of another. And people should treat each other humanly. Importance of education. So he has a lot of successors. I think it's more than 7,000 students follow him. And these students expand more for Confucianism. And he also emphasized about the needs for educated civil servants and individuals must fight and accept that people placed in society. They have certain position living in the society so that it will live harmonized ways. And this is Kongzhi. Believe that society should be organized, allow 5 basic relations. So I think because of in the former time we have no any fast traffic, we have no any internet. We stay only in the local regions. And some of the textbook mention about the before in 2000 or 1000 before history period. The whole life they travel not more than 20 miles. So they locate very locally. Because they have no any map, they don't know how to go far. They have no any scientific mind to create boat to travel far away in the sea. So they travel in the land with local area. This is why they have only interconnection between people to people, which is very close to them. And this is the way that the Confucius mentioned of how to have a harmonized society. Is because of interaction between people close to them. So this is the concept of the Confucius, that how to live in a harmonized society is they have 5 basic relations: the ruler and subject, father and son, husband and wife, older brother and younger, friends and friend. How we interact between people and people in 5 conditions. So this is the way that the good governance by the kings and the people, we have to respect. We have to respect father and son. Son has to respect father. And husband and wife, who will be the leader? And wife, what is the action of the husband, the duty of husband, and the duty of wife? And this is why in the family, we have husband, we have wife, we have children, and we also have parents, who is the higher rank, so that we respect all the people, we respect our parents, and also we show to our kids to respect in ranking system in the family, and also how we interact with our friends with trust and respect each other. And this is the system that Confucius mentioned. This is the diagram that everyone will have the environment of the one who stay in superior position than you. And some will have inferior than you. You have some supporting staff, you have servants, and also nearby you also have friends, you have in between. So how we interact with different category. This is why Confucius mentioned how to live peacefully and with harmony in society. And this is the example rules by practicing. Subject should be loyal and law-abiding. Stress importance of family, filial piety. Children should respect their parents and elders. Worship of the ancestor. And this is why we have several ceremonies to respect. Every time we respect our ancestor. And showing our kids to follow as a model. Show by example. So this will continue from generation to generation. And this is the way. In Thailand also, if you go to any Chinese Thai, you will have such kind of something to represent our ancestor. And this is the way that Thai society, especially Chinese Thai, will have such kind of patriarchal society. And education, Confucius. And last 2 months I went to Jinan. Jinan is the place of birth of Confucius. And that is the World Education Day. In China, they create a World Education Day in Jinan, which is the place of birth of Confucius. And the opening ceremony, they have a picture of Confucius as maybe a representative of the who create education system in the past centuries. And this is why Confucius has several successors and students follow him. And the way of the Confucius expand for the Confucius, they have a lot of area that expand including this region, I think the Confucius also expand to Vietnam, to Thailand, and Laos, Cambodia, some part, and also Korea. And this is the Jinan. I went there last 2 months, Jinan, for the World Education Day meeting. Jinan, present some of my paper. And expand, this is the birthplace of state of Lu, and where Confucius was born and spent most of his life. And because of the travel by Silk Road pathway, they expand a lot, and also expand about the knowledge of Confucius to several dynasties. And this is expansion of the Silk Road pathway. And Confucius expand. Talking about Buddhism, I think the Thai people, most of the philosophy follow the Buddhism. But some overlapping between the philosophy of Confucius and Buddhism is very, I think it's overlap almost more than half. And I will show about the concept of philosophy of Buddhism. This is a picture of the mountain that has been digging into the mountain and creates a very amazing place for praying Buddha, some kind of respect to Buddha and also the statue. And this is a standing Buddha, Tokyo National Museum in the 1st and 2nd century. And this is very conventional of the way to pay respect to Buddha in Bhutan and also in Mongolia. And this is in Laos and Myanmar, in Myanmar. I think the Buddha originally from India expand to Sri Lanka and also expand to China. And you may understand about journey to the west of the Tang dynasty, Journey to the West, that create very important books. One of the four poetry that is very that are very famous. Journey to the West in Tang dynasty, and the Buddhism expand from here to part of China, to Laos, to Myanmar, to Thailand, and to Sri Lanka, and also some in Indonesia. How India less Buddhism? Because in the 2nd or 2 century after Buddha passed away, there are several conflicts between Europe and Muslim take over this area of the land, because they travel from Middle East and overcome this area. So Buddhism has been destroyed and taken over by Muslim. And inner of India is Hindu. So they left only some part in Sri Lanka. And because of the during the time of Buddha, they expand. They have a lot of students, successors move far away and still remain in this region of Buddhism. And this is the pictures. So most of Thailand, we understand this tree mostly is Buddhism. And second most is Confucius. Tao is very little, not many. Compare between Confucius. They're talking about peace and order, respect elderly. Human relationship is majorities of educations. For Taoism is focused in natural, reject material things, reject educations, reject harmonization by regulation, by politics. But Buddhism is They want to have a good life. They want nirvana and also living harmony with the university. So they have some with the Taoism of the universe, of the natural. And education, Buddhism also mentioned about education. So Buddhism is very, some part very similar to Confucius, some part respect to the nature. So they have something overlap. And this is the Thai history. We received Buddhism from the Sukhothai times in 1250. And Buddhist has involved in several parts in Thailand, expand into our country. And in Ayutthaya period, we have something from Khmer model. We have the king as a Tevarat or God king. We have hierarchy, social stratification, so-called Sakdina system, social stratification system. Anyone assigned a numerical ranking. And we have also international trade contact with Western. Since King Nalai, we have the movie about the King Nalai, that we have connection with European country. And in Bangkok and Thonburi is very short period of time. And I think the king at Thonburi period, he was the Chinese people, Chinese Thai, King Taksin. And his parents moved from China. So I think that King Taksin, perhaps the second generation Chinese Thai. So at that period, he recovered the Thai countries. And Bangkok to now, early period, recover, re-establish stable of kingdom. And this is the Chakri dynasty at this moment. We have some westernization period with Western imperialism. And this is, I would say that San Guo is one of the important books that most of the Thai governments read this book. I myself also read many times. And I would say that they have several information concerning how the people live in the past and how they to make the harmonization of the societies. And this is the way that we still have conflicts. And we need more harmony between people. And seven dominant from the three kingdoms, romance of three kingdoms is how we value the family, loyalty and friendship, how the emotion create problem, how the legitimacy in govern the country, and being hospitable, identify best advisor, faithful to the promise, remember one debt. This is the concept of this San Guo books. And one of my senior staff sending this New Year to me about the. He understand that he know that I interested in San Guo, and he's sending the New Year card and mention about the way of management people by Xiao Xiao. This is he wrote by himself by hand, very pretty, and translate into Thai for me. That mention about love, mention about the loyalty, mention about the concept, listening, mention about the trust, mention about regulation, flexibilities, and merit, and reward to the merit, according to the merit, to govern, to control the soldiers. And this is Thailand Thai Chinese culture, which is you may understand about Yaowarat, Chinatown in Bangkok. Many. My parents have a house and also the store, and also have the Chinese alphabet in front of the entrance. So this is the way that most of the Chinese people, Thai Chinese, will have the Thai alphabet and also Chinese alphabet to name the house, to name the shop, and everywhere this way, Chinese alphabet together with Thai alphabet. And I would say concerning about the Buddhism, there are 5 concepts for living in harmony. If we can do that, the world will be very peaceful. By Bali alphabet, we can convert in short term. Firstly, no killing, no stealing, no lust, no lying, no drink. And this is 5 concepts for ordinary people. If you doing like this, the society will be very peaceful. This is very fundamental, very important. And for Confucius value, they mention about Li, Len, and De, and Wen. Basic rule of human. Respect. The golden rule is very important. Do not do to others what you do not want done to you. And moral, stronger leader guide by example. And arts of peace, this is a concept of Confucius. For Confucius, very similar to that of Thai society. I would say that Confucius play important part in ceremony, very important. So we have a lot of ceremony. We had a lot of ceremony. When we create ceremony, it bring very important in an event, and we bring very respect to the chairperson. Like this. We honor, we respect to the one topmost in the events. And we respect to the chairperson in the certificate event, to the undergraduate, the graduate who finished the training. And this is the merit. This is loyal bath, very important. So the ceremony will bring honor to the top person that we respect. And we should treat our parents with respect. So Confucius, very important. They mention about ancestor worship and respect elderly. Thai society also remains this culture. Very similar. We respect elderly. We respect to our parents, ancestor. And we have ranking order from royal family to the monk, to the teacher, to the many level. And this is the, as I mentioned earlier, that 5 layer in Confucius, but in Buddhist we have 6 directions. We have 6 directions. This is 5 basic relationship of the Confucius that I mentioned. But in Buddhism, above us is monk religions that we have to respect, and also royal family. And in front is our parents, left hand side is our friends, right hand side is our teacher, behind is our family, our relative, and below is our supporting staff that we take care. So 6 level, 6 layer, which is very close to Confucius concept. And this is we honor, we respect. We should be obedient to honor people, like the top of the monk, the king, or similar to that of the our kings. This is a princess that in convocation ceremony. And we respect to monk. This is the way of Thai society. Set up the level of hierarchy. And one of the things that we would like to mention is Confucius principle. Do not do to other people what you do not want done to yourself. This is golden rule of Confucius. There are two versions. One is positive, another one is negative, flip versions. Like Mahidol. Mahidol also have a policy and a philosophy as do unto other what you want done unto you. This is another flip version to golden rule. The golden rule is, as I mentioned, as Confucius, do not do other people what you don't want other people do to you. But this one, do in positive way as you want other people to do to you. Why this is very important? Because if in case that you want everything to yourself, the direction of need is moving from outside to yourself, and it will cumulative only one person. You need everything from others to hold in yourself. But if you reflect in different way, outward, you can have external relation to other people with uncountable number. You do to other people X number. But if you receive everything to yourself, only one. So this is very important that if you create this mindset, you will create other people to receive better things. And if everyone do like this, they will expand more as an X multiplied to every time that you behave. This is outward behave, not inward to yourself only. So you do to other people that you want others to do to yourself. This is outward interactions, better than inward receiving. Because inward receiving, you will gather only yourself. But outward, you will exhibit to X number. So I will almost finish my talk. Confucius, unconditioned of this, and although they have a good ruler, and implication to the ruler and lead by example. And this is the way of Confucius go. And I would say that some quote between Confucius and Buddhist is very similar. I would show as the example. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. This is Confucius. In Buddha, no matter how hard the past, you can always begin again. Very similar. The strength of nation derives from the integrity of the home. So this is ceasing to do evil, cultivate the good, purify the heart. This is the teaching of the Buddha. Very similar. And real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. And wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of man. But in Buddha, wisdom is very important than asset. So they mention about wisdom. And this also very popular to Europe. This one is the one of the famous doctors. He who study medicine without books, sail an uncharted sea, but he who study medicine without patience does not go to sea at all. This is Confucius. He who learn but does not think, is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is great danger. So very similar. And some comparison. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. And mention about wherever you go with your heart. You have to have passion, everything you do. So this is a Confucius concept. And I would say that the Buddhists in Thai, they mention about brain barrier in Europe. brain barrier, failure to see, failure to move, failure to finish. In Buddhist, sorry for in Thai language, also he who will success should have vision, should have a competency to do things, and should have a support from other people. Very important. And I would say that how the leader success, one important part is listening. And this is a Chinese alphabet composed of several things inside for the meaning of listening. This is the ear, the part we receive the sound, and this is the mind to things, and 10 is the topmost of number, and this is the eye to see, and undivided attention to focus, and this is the heart. So this is very important of listening. Very clever of Chinese alphabet. And this is the another part. Good question inform, great question transform. And this is very important for a reader. Thai world at this moment, shaped by Buddhism and Balm, the law of karma. Every action has consequence. State of one existence now is an outcome of one's karma in the previous life. Cycle of rebirth, reincarnation, uncertainties and transcendence of all things. Tolerance, accepting faith, belief of supernatural power, which is very similar. Some part is similar to Taoism, but mostly is Confucius concept. Social value also very important. We have hierarchy in Buddhism also, and avoid conflict, confrontation, avoid the loss of faith, forgive nature. ไม่เป็นไร is Thai culture, forgiving. Our Thai culture, most of the time we forgive things that negative happen. Fun, loving, สนุก Thai people. In the past, Thai monarchy used Buddhism, unified principle of society. And now the Buddhism is relatively weakened during past century. Anyway, we're still using Buddhism as a guideline for practicing and living. And now we try to strengthen the Buddhism in Thailand and try to encourage study more in Buddhism and also let our young generation to understand about the concept, philosophy of Buddhism. So this is all my message to share with you about Thai society. Mainly we living in Buddhism with some overlapping to that of the Confucius and some with Taoism, which is, I think, your philosophy in China, Chinese philosophy, can very easily apply to Thai society. So thank you so much for your attention.